Good evening, everyone. Welcome to PMI UAE chapter webinar series. Welcome to all of you. And we are really grateful so that you people are joining us and then continuing your support if you have been the repeated member of the webinar series. And warm welcome if you're the first timer to join us. Likewise, we're happy to have you here. And my name is Anshul. I'm your host and moderator tonight from the PMI side. And of course, we are going to start the webinar on time, which is 7:30 now. And normally it will goes for 1 hour. And then apparently we have some more people joining us. So we will just wait for 2 or 3 minutes formally, and then we will formally start the webinar as per the program pre-decided. So thank you so much for joining us. And then please give your particular LinkedIn IDs if you want to network with each other on the chat section, which is open. And then people can do the socializing over there to introduce yourself and their industry if they like to be. Good evening, guys. I think I'm seeing a lot of chats coming in now. That's really great to see that because people are joining from different parts of the world at times. So sometimes it's good morning, sometimes good afternoon, and sometimes it's good evening, of course, here during the region. But yeah, that's really good to see you guys coming up there. So this webinar series, which we normally do, if people are joining it first time, which we normally do it at, most importantly around 2 times a month, uh, except barring the Ramadan month, which is the next month, of course. But that's what our pattern has been, and that's what we normally try to do. And we also try to invite the different sort of different speakers from different industry so that we can add versatility and dimensions to the knowledge areas, what we normally see from the project delivery and project management perspective. And we are not overshadowed by only one particular area or topic or industry. So that way, we try to keep a good balance. And with that in mind, we have today's webinar, which we have the topic with around construction projects. So today's topic, as you all must be aware all about, is the ways to overcome efficiency paradox in specifically in construction projects. So that's what we are going to speak, learn, and share our understanding with our esteemed guest, Mr. Tony Jacob, who is with me over here, and then who is going to take the stage. Once, let me introduce the chapter with the people. And normally this will take 5 minutes for me to take it up and everybody. And then apparently I will hand over the stage to Mr. Tony later on. And then he can take us through his journey, his experience, and his wisdom. And then at the end, we have the Q&A session as well, where we welcome all of you to put your questions in the question and answer section of the chat so that I can pick them up and to get that delivered by Mr. Tony as much we can in the time. So with that in mind, let me reintroduce myself. My name is Anshul. I'm Anshul Chaubey and your webinar host for tonight. And I've been joined with my colleague, Mr. Amir and Joyce at the back end, which basically our aim is to make this experience as much as fluent and user-friendly to all of you. We have Mr. Tony Jacob, as I just mentioned. He's accomplished lean project management consultant with us from the construction industry, with apparently more than 20 years of experience with him. So that's a huge one in it itself. Before we take a deep dive into our topic with the speaker, we would like to explain some housekeeping notes. Apparently with this webinar is going to last somewhere around 60 to 65 minutes. And then apparently we will say that we will follow a set agenda, which I'm going to introduce you the chapter, which I'm be sharing the screen very soon now to give you understanding of PMI UAE chapter in specifically. And then we will move to the session and then apparently the Q&A. So please share your thoughts, share your ideas in the chat to interact. And then of course, if you have specific questions to be answered from the topic perspective, put them into the Q&A section so that we can have an engaging one today. Okay. So that's what our set agenda today. And let's start with the PMI UA chapter introduction. Allow me to share my screen quickly with you all. And with that, we can see here. You go. Great. So, Project Management Institute, of course, we know that what the PMI is, but more importantly, it is being founded way back in 1969, specifically by the group of people who have been the project managers themselves. And now, with the 50 years later, PMI is the source of resource of all the things what we say the gold standard in project management. With that, it is one of the largest organization, which is association of all the professional around this. And then we issue global recognized standard and credentials to the right knowledge credentials around that. We offer a lot of training, accreditation to the communities. Also, we engage the sponsors, publish the research papers, thought leadership knowledge, and also the knowledge content into the PMI websites as well as a part of it. Specifically, when we speak about UAE, so UAE chapter has a vision of empower and influence individuals with the innovative project economy principles turning ideas to reality. So that's what the vision is about from the chapter perspective. And to conjugate this vision, we have a mission statement to go to disrupt and create value, driven opportunities to our chapter members like you. If you're not the chapter members, become one, of course, and then become our partners as well to be agile, innovative, productive in the platform for the growth of project economy. This chapter specifically have some proud moments. We have been running 100% by the volunteers. We have 4,000 plus active members, which is a huge in itself as an accomplishment. Be in among the top 5 chapters in the whole AMA region, and the whole focus of leading the industry and trends. We are serving the aspiring UA community for the project managers, even though people are sometimes not 100% PMI certified, but who are pursuing it, for example, project program management. We definitely seek their support and offer them the right importance of the professionalism around that. We all depend on the people like you to make the chapter activities as integrative as possible and also make it much more engaging, because we do a lot of things beside webinars, as some people must be already knowing about. And with that, we have our board led by Mr. Adil Sultan as our president of the UAE chapter member. And then rest of the board is being handled by the rest of the board of directors supporting him. Some of the member benefits which we bring to the table is, of course, networking opportunities for you to engage with the professionals around the groups, learning and knowledge sharing. So that also happens as a part of it. We also have in the career growth in the form of young professional and PMI certification preparation programs, and also the events, which is, of course, this webinar is the part of the event. And we are from the events team, so we handle the webinars as well as the on-site events as well. We have member corners and member spotlight as two of the opportunities for the members of the chapter who definitely have a good platform to really showcase their ideas and their knowledge sharing and their accomplishment as a part of this publication. So write to the team. If you're already the member and would like to get participate around it, write it to the newsletters at pmiua.org. If you would like to learn more about what is happening around the PMI UAE, so definitely go to the website. It has a lot of information around that, and we keep it publishing as per whatever the new things are going to come up there. Also the PMI UAE chapter has a YouTube channel where all these webinars are recorded and published. So that you don't have to capture and rely on all your screenshots all the time, but everything is being recorded and uploaded into the YouTube channel subsequently. Please engage with the team members. We have been there in the WhatsApp groups or even in the Facebook and LinkedIn there. If you have a specific query regarding volunteering or membership, there are different email addresses as in front of you. Make note of that, and then please reach out to the people. They will definitely respond to you on their particular queries if you have. Coming to the PDUs, one important information that when you register for the webinar from the link, if it asks you for the membership ID, please give your PMI membership ID there. It will automatically get linked to your PMI ID, and then we'll get it follow as per that. With that, I think that was the about chapter, brief introduction. Now coming to the introduction of our speaker today, Mr. Tony Jacob. I think we have been privileged enough to have him over here. I met him personally recently, and it was really great to talk some important stuffs. And of course, we were quite discussing that construction industry is the booming at the moment in Middle East back, and with his distinguished standards, what he bring to the table with us, especially from the construction management background. He has been involved with the PMI and lean construction. Also, he's been passionately providing the training and management consulting services in Asia, Middle East, and then of course contributing to the construction project delivery system. He partners with organizations as well in various sectors of construction industry to cultivate management skills, enhancing the productivity, optimizing the processes, embracing the technology, and then of course refining the project control measures to overcome the delivery challenges and the overall project performances. So he's also authorized to train in prestigious PMI-CP and PMI Lean certification courses by PMI and AGC. Without any further ado now, I would like to welcome Tony to take the stage from the front with us and then take us on the journey of his wisdom and experience. Over to you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you, Anshul. Am I audible? The screen
Yes,
is...
you have been great.
Okay, great. So thanks a lot for the PMI UAE chapter for organizing this webinar and all those who have joined today for understanding the small knowledge which I want to share across this platform. Okay, so this is a great opportunity for us to understand the effective use of all the project management tools are very necessary to achieve efficiency in construction project. So there are two words I used. One is effective and second is efficiency. We had a workshop last month. This is a PMI UA chapter workshop, which is in person. We have done it in the British University. We talked about effective communication measures there. And we had a very good interactive session with 70 plus members there. And now today I want to take it up to another perspective of it, like what is the efficiency in construction project we can look by using these tools and techniques in the available in the project management. Now, when we talk about the efficiency in construction project, it's always a question like what do you mean by efficiency? Is it something like you complete a project within the time or in a lesser than time? Is it called as an efficiency? Or is it something you've done a project with a less cost? Is it an efficiency? So efficiency is a term actually being referred in a different context, and there are many times it get into uh, a negative understanding of what is happening as well. Why I'm saying negative is we have many silos in construction, as all of you are aware. There is a client working, there is a consultant working, there is a contractor working. So the efficiency for each of them are slightly different at a different time. Now, for example, a design, the design efficiency, when someone is looking more into the design efficiency, there's a lot of time may get lost in that, and that may affect the time which is available for a contractor to perform in a project. So these are the situations which we really have to consider when we understand the efficiency overall for a construction project. So my perspective here is to give a different idea about the efficiency matrices and then taking you to the efficiency paradox and talk about certain tools which will help you to have an excellent efficiency in your construction project. And last but not the least is to take you through some strategic steps you can think about incorporating into your current project management framework using the lean project management tools that will help you to ensure that you are not getting lost into this efficiency paradox, but to ensuring that you are taking care of your project in the right way to get it delivered. So this is myself, Tony Jacob, and thank you very much for the introduction. Have two major hats. One is as a volunteer. Most of you may be aware, those are not aware, PMI is recently launched a construction professional certification. So I'm one of the construction ambassador for it. And also, I'm working as a consultant. I'm a general manager for a company, Task Management Consultancy, registered in Dubai. I'm relatively new to Dubai, but of course, I'm into this industry for quite a long time. So when we talk about the efficiency, in my way or understanding, the efficiency is related when all the stakeholders are working together in a consistent manner, moving towards achieving the project delivery objectives and delivering value to the end customer without disturbing or making any negative impact on the efficiency of other stakeholders. So this is a key in this. So if you are thinking about an efficiency and that efficiency is working for your organization, your trade, or your part of the business, but that is going to create a challenge for next in line or any other trade, there we have to question the efficiency what we are looking at. Now we have a procurement is one function which we are doing, and highly efficient procurement may leads to lot of material may get stacked into the site because a bulk order can reduce the cost, or highly efficient procurement can take a longer time to negotiate and find a better price and suitable material that may delay the construction activities. So we have to keep several factors in mind when we are looking at establishing the efficiency parameters in a construction project. Very normal, very typical in a construction project, we all are used with the term progress. The progress is part of our monthly meetings and the monthly reports and in all our way of planning, monitoring, and controlling the project. Now, take an example here. We are talking about a 1 month activities are defined and then evaluating by end of the month. Imagine the design is talking about a 70% progress. Now procurement is 80%, structure is 80%, finishing is 40, MEP is 80%. I just took some values for a discussion purpose only. Now, what we think or what we consider in that particular meeting is we'll say that, okay, procurement and structure and MEP is doing good. Finishing is not up to the mark. We have to more focus on a finishing, and design is okay. Like, okay, there is a room for improvement. Now, this is what usually get projected, and we evaluate whether the project is on track or how it is been progressing. But if I give a different perspective, now this design, the 70 percentage, now just for easy for a calculation, let's take it as a 10 activities, 10 design submissions, they need to share it or they have to release it. Now imagine this out of 10, they were promised to give it in the beginning of a month, but in fact, they've delivered this designs on end of the month. And also the 3 which is not been released, which are critical for the finishing and the MEP to progress their work. Now, what is the impact on it? Now, when we look at the only one side of looking at the efficiency, we can say that the MEP teams are highly efficient by the progress analysis here. But if you look at the commitment, what they are giving to the other trades, they are only 20%. So what it means? They may be going and doing the work in some other location. Now imagine a vertical building where the concrete work have to happen from a slab to slab to slab going upwards. But whereas if the progress is happening, there are several concreting opportunities are there in the horizontal direction as well. So the quantity which they are casting, the concrete what they're using, if that has been considered as a progress, they may be saying that 80% is achieved, but the progress may not be sufficient for the next in line trade activities to move forward. So if you are able to map or plot this in a project efficiency metrics, you will understand in a better way. So here we can see that the design is a 70%, but whereas their progress, their commitment honoring is only 20%. So we call it as a flow efficiency here. So the resource efficiency or the potential efficiency, what we are looking at, maybe look very impressive, but if the contribution for their support to the other trade and to the contribution to the speed of the project, if it is not aligned, we are not in a situation to complement the project to achieve the efficiency here. And also we can put one more term here, which is the value of the work. You can see that based on the value of the work, here I've given the sizes of the circle based on the value. Now you can see that the design contribution is very low compared to what it can be happening. We don't know the planned one. I didn't plot the planned one here, but we can see that probably the three designs what they haven't released may be something which is a high value for the MEP or a finishing work. So we can overall look at the data which we usually evaluate as a efficient way of looking into a project can have some challenges if you really get into the details and moving forward. So to elaborate or to understand the efficiency metrics, this is a term which is coined by a book called This is Lean. And I really like the way which is being presented in that book. So if someone is interested in reading a book, please go and find this book and read out. It is not a construction oriented. This is a purely talking about what is lean and how this efficiencies has been understood and analyzed by the various organization and everything. So it will be a very good book for you. So to coming back to our discussion, so if any project or any construction organization, if the resource efficiency is low and the flow efficiency is low, so what it means, there is no work front, all the workmen are sitting idle, and there is no progress of work which is happening. So it is a real idle situation. We can say that we are in a wasteland. Now, when a typical situation coming like this, what the organization will do? They withdraw, like for example, there are 100 painters are there. They withdraw the 90 painters from the site and only 10 will be there. So all of a sudden, what will happen? You will have a resource efficiency. You deployed only 10 laborers and there is a more than sufficient work front is available for them. So you see that the productivity for the laborers are going high. Now, this is a thought process is happening when we are talking about a design efficiency or a procurement efficiency or any isolated way of looking into the efficiency. So we may find that particular trade, particular function will look very efficient, but it is not contributing to the speed of the work or a flow of the activities are there. So there's a standstill situation. So we call it as a efficient island in that situation. But what we usually suggest and what is recommended for a project is the area where you need to have the resource efficiency and also you need to have the flow efficiencies together. Even you are in the or in the very bottom corner of this particular area, this is good for a project because even you are going slow, but you are going in a consistent way. The trade partners knows that if I bring 10 people, they will have a sufficient work for tomorrow and they will consistently bring that 10 people. Otherwise, what will happen is all of a sudden there is a work front. You have to mobilize a lot of resources. Then there is no work front. You have to demobilize and then go to another project. That project may be busy. Now, when you get a work front back, you cannot remobilize the people here. So the project will ultimately get suffered if you are shuffling between the people. So it's always good to have a focus on a flow efficiency first, ensuring that all the trade partners, all the businesses having a consistent way of moving forward in the construction project. So that will really help us to do it. What will happen if you are over focusing on a resource efficiency? Now imagine you, like I mentioned earlier, you have a procurement situation. You are taking 2 months to finalize. You are making a very highly procurement efficient. You are having a design situation. You are designing, you are evaluating, you are redesigning because the design efficiency is not achieved. Now, what will happen in this situation is there are three things will happen. Number one, there is a long throughput time will be required. That means the time a designer starting a design to you finalize and release that design to the end customer, that means either a procurement or an execution guy, it takes a longer time. So what will happen when you have a longer time? You are forced to do a multiple units in the place. That person, that designer cannot stick to one drawing because he or she have to do a job every day, and this is not progressing. So they have to take up multiple work. So what will happen? You will have a many flow units in your system. That one designer will be handling at least 4 to 5 projects and 10 to 20 drawings. And then what will happen? There's a lot of requirement. There's a priority changes. So you will be starting and then stopping and then getting into another work. The same scenario for the procurement, same scenario for execution also. You have an excavation subcontractor who is highly efficient. They can do the excavation for a 2 kilometers in probably in a 3 or 4 days time using an equipment. But then what will happen? That means the time you excavate and the time you have to put the pipes and then you have to backfill and then close it, it is taking a longer time. So all this will create a lot of secondary needs. We need to have a lot of protection for it. Maybe we have to do a dewatering every time. Maybe you have to put a geotextile and then that have to be changed after some time. Though what will happen is the effort which is required for a coordination, the effort what we are doing to start and continuing the work, everything will go high. So what will happen in a typical construction project is, since we divided the responsibility of a time, cost, and quality, and all the delivery of a certain specific area for a specific organization or a specific people, they started looking at only the silos and thinking that my way of improving or delivering the project efficient or in a high performing is sufficient, and that creating a lot of challenges in the other people work. So we really have to look into the a different and rightful way of eliminating this efficiency paradox and then moving forward it. If not, what will happen is we are going to create a situation in our project. People are telling, I cannot complete the project time, cost, quality, safety together. In the beginning of a project, we spend a lot of time to get a cost efficient, and then we see that the time is getting lapsed. We spend a lot of time to be a design efficient in the beginning. What will happen? The designs are not finalized, design is not released. So the end point, the final handing over is not being changed. So it's a fixed one. So the time which is required for a design and procurement is taken a longer time, and that is going to get affect the construction. Now, what will happen once the construction start? The time, everyone is looking at a time. So we are going in a high paced, making and trying to be a time efficient or a schedule efficient, the quality will get affected. Now we focus on a quality. We want to be an quality efficient team. We focus on a quality, then the time will get affected and the cost will get affected. So there is a silo optimization which is happening, and that leads to a situation like a lot of waiting, rework, and over processing and overproduction. And what will happen is whatever the promises or a commitment we are giving in a project, that is not going to happen. It when you look at any slab completions or any electrical work completions or any structure completion, the dates keep on changing it. All of a sudden, you will get a lot of work front. Sometimes there is no work front is available. When the work front is available, you will not have a sufficient drawing or sufficient material or a work resources available to do the job. So this creating an ultimate, the end date is not changed, a lot of overburdening in the people. So the construction industry become more of a reactive in nature, and people look at only transactional. You have given a contract, now it is your responsibility to do it. We don't know. It is your responsibility to do it. So the people become more reactive, and this become a very stressful and a bad situation for the entire construction industry. So what we need to look at is to look the construction industry in a different viewpoint of from the lean and the project management perspective, and we have to look at how do we transform it. Can we look at doing the value adding activity instead of spending a lot of time which is non value adding in the situation? Can we look at the sequential flow of an activity, ensuring that everyone get a sufficient work front at right time? They can continuously work and they can transform all the input to an output. This all can be possible with a transparency, collaborations, and making ready efforts which is required in a construction project. And that is when we are going to bring the efficiency and a continuous improvement in a construction project. So broadly, I will put two terms here, which our construction industry really have to go for it. We cannot make any miracle from the way we are handling or the challenges what we are facing today to overcome overnight. We have to start a structured way of retrospecting our problems and challenges. So definitely we are reactively solving all the problems today. But what is happening is these problems are solved for today, but tomorrow it is going to come back again. Now, from your experience, you may be working for a 5 year or a 10 year or a 20 year person, but look at what are the problems you faced in the first project. the similar problem or same problems are coming back to you in your second project and even the 10th project. We had a material problem, we faced a material shortage, we faced a machinery shortage, we faced a labor shortage, we faced a design confusion, we faced challenges at the time of handing over. So all these are music to the ears of a construction professional. So what is not happening is we are not learning and improving, and that learning and improving is not being applied in the same project as in a proactive way. So the term what is coming now for the industry is a continuous improvement using the lean project management tools, helping you to learn from the mistakes and then adapting your processes with a improvement that will minimize the future problems. So we have to focus on making ready the flow of an activity that ensure that next in line person can continuously work in their work front. So this is a proactive approach which we have to develop in the construction industry, starting from the conceptualization to the design to the procurement and ongoing in a construction execution. That will make a real game changer in the construction industry. Now, I'm going to take you through certain tools. There are many tools are available. I cannot touch all the tools today, but I will take you through a few tools which you can use it in a construction project to bring this collaboration, bring this transparency, and bring this make ready efforts, and to ensure that all the people are aligned in terms of efficiency, not like someone who is driving or leading the work is thinking about an efficiency in one point of view, and the rest of the people have no clue on where to focus and how to do it. So Obeya is one of the concept which is being taken from the lean, and now it is being included in the PMI certification, PMI-CP construction professional certification as well, which is also called or referred as a big room in many contexts. So what is the difference between a typical a construction project site and the Obeya being introduced in a construction project? So in a typical construction project, you look at the data, the informations are available in the hands of few people, say project director, project planner, and we will have a meeting rooms and we will have a monthly meetings or a weekly meetings. So we will be generating the presentations and showing, or if any reports are generated, we will be circulating through the email. All the problems what we identified will be communicated through either WhatsApp or an email. Any problems or challenges, we will be taking a photos and sharing it through the WhatsApp. So the communications are happening in a more of in a siloed way. And many times what will happen is at 4 or 5 trades which are happening working in a construction project, they all will be given a target in the beginning of a month or beginning of a week. They will be focusing on that, and they all will be coming back to the project director or a planner or the respective construction manager for solutions or a problems, any firefighting what is required. Now, what is happening is there is a very less or limited communication between all these parties. Now, the OBEA is a place where you will see that the entire project informations can be transparently available for the people. And before to that, you will have a place for collaboratively working and discussing. Like for example, there's a milestone need to be done in the 2 weeks later. So the people will be going to the obey or a big room, putting that milestone and working in a backward a pull planning to see that where this each activities are connected. And Obea, let me tell you one more thing. Obea is not about a physical room, it is about a mindset. So when we are entering into the room, it is being considered as all the parties, those are part of the project, those who are in the discussions are equal. So the people will be having a freedom to express their concerns, their challenges, their problems, and that problems are discussed, detailed, and listed in the room so that when someone can come back and put it in a simple way of updating the task, is it done, not done? If it is not done, why it is not done, everything in one place. So the information will be readily available for the management also to see that. So many time in a construction, you know that we follow a lot of hierarchy. A site supervisor who is facing a concrete problem they cannot talk to the project director who may have more control to ensure that the concrete can be easily made available. I'll tell you a small example here. One of the project in Abu Dhabi only, we were helping to implement these practices. So we were facing one of the challenges, whatever the concreting target or concreting date what we have planned, it is not happening. So we made a simple solution to that in the Obeya in the big room. We asked all the engineers to write where they are going to do the work for that particular day, and end of the day, how much quantity has been done and is it been completed or not. You put a status note in that. So when the people started putting it in a day by day, we could able to see that some are happening, some are not happening. But all of a sudden, there is a huge drop. Like all the people are coming and telling, we didn't receive the concrete, we didn't receive the concrete, we didn't receive the concrete. But when the project director was passing through that area, this information was there. He immediately got the information into his mind, and he know the reason behind it also. The reason behind is very simple. There is a bill which is pending, which is in his table for him to sign and release it. That was not happening due to some internal issues. Now he know that it started getting affecting the work. But now, if you don't have this transparency is there, it may take 1 or 2 days to reflect such kind of information to the top management's attention, because we keep some hierarchies and we try to manage with what is available and everything. So when you bring such kind of an obaya, it is really brings a lot of collaborative opportunity for to look at. And one more is relating to the procurement. Now you have the procurement requirement and you already place the procurement details. In a normal way, we communicate through an email or communicate through an Excel, and the person will be looking into that. Now we don't know whether they are working, how many days they are working, where it got stuck. But when you have the area where all the informations are transparently available, it is easy for the people to look at. You are more focusing on a procurement efficiency. You are taking 2 weeks extra, but it is getting affected by the site progress. So the information transparency is one of the biggest reason why the OBI is very much required in a construction project. And we can do it in a different way to set it up. What all the components you need to do it, and usually it changes from different organization to organization, projects and everything. One more point which we usually use why OBI is the right place for you have a lot of information available. So all the plannings what you have done, you are able to check it, is it correctly done or not? And if it is not, you can take an action and move forward. So PDCA is a continuous improvement tool which is very deeply used in the Toyota systems and the agile and the lean project management area, which can effectively used when you are having an OBI in place. Now, OBI is not just keeping, so I'm just getting into another tool here, which is called as interface management. Now, the beauty when you have a collaboration and the people are working together, you will be in a position to identify the interfaces. Now, the interfaces is one of the term which is introduced in a PMI-CP construction professional, which is very widely used in CII implemented projects across the US and the developed countries. And now in projects happening in our part of the world, we are using part of the interface thinking. Like we call it as a coordination, we call it as a battery limit, we call it as a handoff between the trades and everything. But you look at the extension of or thought process, what we need to think about the interfaces. Any smaller detailed interface also need to be identified as part of your discussions happening in the OBEA, but the different stakeholders are available. This interface can be listed in the project area in the OBEA, and to take a details commitments from the people. That will really help us to monitor, seeing that it can be progressing. Now there is a interface. Take a simple example of interface. You need to have a design need to be finalized, procurement need to be completed, and the execution need to be done. Now here itself we are talking about a simple statement. There is a two different interfaces are there. Now it become complex when the design need to take to the procurement to get some material to get it approved, and then go to the design finalization, then go to the procurement, and then coming to the execution, supply to the site and then execute it. So we have to identify the different interfaces which will come in the way of either delay or a rework and stopping the work well in advance, and then take care of that in our project to see that the efficiencies of the project is being taken care. Now, when we talk about the Obeya and we are talking about the interface management, I want to introduce another tool which or the term which I can say it as a commitment based management. Now, many times what will happen is in a construction project, we more go for a push-based decision. Only few people decide saying that, okay, by next Friday, we have to complete a concreting in this particular area. By next Tuesday, we have to complete this painting in this room and go. So what people will say that, yes, sir, okay, I will do it. And then they go out of the meeting. But after they move out of the meeting, the real problem comes. And most of the time in a construction, what I've seen is we give a set of tasks for a people. We don't allow them to speak, and they agree and go to the site with the task. They are not in a position to progress. They come back with the complaints and the problems. Then you spend a lot of time in solving their problems. I've seen many projects, the people are not willing to spend 15 minutes for discussing what need to be done and how need to be done, but they are willing to invest 1 hour for why things are not happened. So the firefightings and the discussions are more happening in the construction project rather than the making it ready. So the commitment based management is an approach where the customer and the performer, that means whoever is asking for any work and the person who need to do a job, will be having an opportunity to discuss, negotiate, and then agree for a work and then moving forward. Now, all this will be recorded in the Obeya with a clear promised date. You remember the one which I show you, the time, the commitments are how much of the commitments are honored. So if you don't have that commitment honored, that reason will be there. It may be because of the performer reason, or it may be the some other reason. That reason can be mentioned there, and you will get a clear information of what is promised and what is happened and why the things are not happening. So why I'm telling this is, and why I'm connecting this is the way which is helping us to learn from why things are not happening in our project and learn from their mistake, and then come back to the next planning cycle with a more aggressive way of planning it, involving the people. And there is an extended version of this is called as a last planner system. I'm not getting into the last planner system discussion today, but that last planner system is very beautifully designed to engage our foremen and engineers in the planning discussions, to see that because they are the right people who knows that what is required to be done for the work. All the prerequisites are required. So their involvement is very much required for to understand and then moving forward. So it is very essential for us to see that if any task need to be completed, we have to ensure that all the prerequisites and the requirement for the people are completed and moving forward. So in a task, when you are completing in a typical task management, we are having two conditions. We'll say that one is the preconditions are met, or after completing the job, is it been satisfied or not? Now look at a typical scenario in a construction project. To do any task, we need to have a material, we need to have a machinery, we need to have the work front, we need to have the labor availability. And this is only a short list. There are another 4 or 5 items will be coming. Now, I put a 95 percentage of a probability to have everything in place. Now, you know that in construction, there is nothing 100% available. You cannot say, we may have the materials in the store, but still it may not be available in the floor. We may have a machinery, but there is a possibility it may break down. And we may have a work front, but by the time we reach there, some other material may be in that place, or the previous material is not removed. So I just put as a 95% as a probability. Now, imagine that team, those are working, they are highly efficient. 95% efficiency is the task output, they can do it. Now, in this scenario, what will be the probability of completing the task? Now, the probability of completing the task and inspection, everything is also 95 percentage. The passing the inspection also I'm considering as a 95 percentage. But you can see that when the entire probabilities are only 95 percentage, the probability to start the work itself is only 80 percentage. It's a simple multiplication, 0.95 into 0.95 into 0.95 into 0.95. And you have more criteria, the probability will come down. Now, this particular task, 95% they are efficient. So the probability to complete the task is only 76%. Now, to do all the inspections and everything, the probability to complete the task is 68%. Now, this is where we are saying in a typical project, if you are having a very good planning, a 70% PPC, the plan percentage completion is 70%, which is good to go. You will be completing the project on time because we will have a sufficient buffer built into the project itself. Now, coming to the probability, what we are discussing here, imagine if I am changing one of the criteria here. The work front, what I am having is 50%. That means the work front is not available for me to perform the job. Now you can change the differences in the probability of completing the job. All of a sudden, you can see that the probability of completing the job is only 19%. Even though the efficiency of the team to perform the job is 95%, if the prerequisites are not ready and if it is not been arranged, your efficiency is going to get affected. Now, why I'm telling this is something which you need to clearly remember. Many times in a construction project, the people misunderstand the efficiencies are related to the productivity of a work, but they are not realizing is the productivity of the work is directly related to the flow efficiency of getting all other information and ingredients and work front to the people. Otherwise, our work will get affected. So many times the management and the senior people, they spend a lot of time to put a pressure on the contractor and the people who really execute the work, or maybe the designer who do the designing. But what they're many times missing or trying not to focus is the elements what they're required to be there is available or not. So if you really have to get into a successful execution of a work, you have to ensure that all the directives, prerequisites, and resources are available. And if it is available, then you will do the job and you finish the work on time and it's all good. But when you are not able to do that job, like for example, now I'm a painter, I'm sent to a floor, but I don't have a sufficient workplace. The painting, the painting need to be done only after the plastering is completed. Now the plastering is completed partially, it is not dry. Some other area there is an opening that is not been done. There's another area a conduit need to be done, so the plastering is not done. So what will happen is I've been assigned a 10 or 100 painters are assigned to the work, but there is no sufficient things are being arranged, or the paint is not approved, or the work is not being assigned. So what will happen? I cannot start the work, right? So that means you are not getting everything ready the time before you engage or deploy the work. Now that means it's a planning failure. I'm not saying that it's a planner failure, but it's a planning failure. Now what will happen many times, even with the planning failure, the people will start working. Now, if I'm a painting subcontractor, I have to start the work by next Monday. And if the work is not, one floor is not ready, I don't have the clear work front, still I will be forced to deploy the labor in different locations. So I may get a work front in 10th floor, I may get a work front in 9th floor, I may get some work front in 11th floor. So what will happen is you deploy it and you will be waiting, and there will be a lot of extra resources are required. And then all of a sudden you will get a lot of work front, so you will be having a lot of overburdening will be there. So what will happen is when you proceeding the work like that, whatever the work you promised, you will not be able to achieve it. I'm a painter, I promise that okay, I'll start the work by Monday, I will end the work by Friday. Do I need to do can I do that? No, it's not possible, because there is an execution failure. Now, is it because of the only the painter? No, it may be a combination of a failures from the planning failure also. But what ultimately will happen is we again will hand over that particular work, half painted room, we have to now hand it over to the next in trade agency to start their work. So many times what we are seeing, a 90 percentage progress we announced in our schedule or in a work, which means that you are taking a 10 days activity, you are saying that 90 percentage is completed, but to do the balance job, you may require another 10 days to do it. So this is where the efficiencies are getting affected. We make a huge progress and we say that our laborers are highly productive and we have done the work in a 90 percentage of completion. but the balance 10% is going to take a lot of time to achieve it. So when you are getting and understanding the construction, there are three elements. You have to start analyzing where we really get stuck. So there are three elements need to consider here. Any activity which are happening can be considered in or categorized into three. One is the value adding activity, second is essential non-value adding activity, and third is the waste. That means the resources and the effort what we are putting is not resulting any value or any generation of any work at all. So any rework, which is a waste, any waiting for information, it's a waste. Any process which we are doing again and again, which is a waste. And there are 8 waste which are being classified and identified in the construction industry. Even keeping an extra inventory, which is a waste, because it is a money we are blocking and also the space is getting blocked. So why we are doing this? Whenever you get into any activities, you have to start analyzing where we get stuck is. Now there is a two area which I'm mentioning here. One is the construction block work, then placing a conduit and then plastering. There's a sequence of an activities, or maybe excavation, pipelaying, and backfilling. Now you look at to do this job, there are two aspects is there. One is the operational aspect. Someone who do this excavation or a block work, they are a specific team or a trade. They are engaged in that particular area. They are doing that particular job and then completing their work. So what is their productivity? If anything they are not doing at that, it is going to get affect the productivity. If any rework in that, that is going to get affect there. So we have to look at this particular area, which is how effectively or efficiently this particular resource is being engaged in there. We can understand by evaluating what is the value adding activity they are doing, what is the essential non-value adding activity they are doing, and what is the non-value adding activity they are doing in this particular process. And the overall time together is a cycle time. So you have a 2 hours of a cycle time. You look at and eliminate the non-value adding activities and the essential non-value adding activity, you minimize it. And ultimately you could able to reduce maybe a 1 hour. Now, that is not the real problem maker. The real problem maker is the time or a delay between these two activities. You have an excavation, the excavation is done perfectly, and you are very highly productive and efficient. But after that, if the next in line activity is not starting, what will happen? So most of the construction project, if you look at the real culprit is coming in between these two activities, and that is where it is getting affecting by the flow efficiency. So if you really want to look into the flow efficiency, you have to look at from a interfaces, all the interfaces like design to procurement, procurement to execution, or within the civil to electrical, electrical to civil. So all the interfaces which are creating problems and bottleneck in today's construction. So that is something need to be analyzed and moving forward. And there is a tool which is called as a value stream mapping can be used for it. And this is a very simple example of value stream mapping used. This is one pre-engineered building which was taking almost 32 hours for one particular column cycle. When we analyzed, we could able to see that 59% of the time which the people are putting are the non-value adding activity. So now you can really press on looking at saying that, okay, this material identification was taking too much time. Can you improve it and everything? So you have to really look into the root causes and find the reason behind it and then move forward it. So whenever today also we are solving the problems and moving forward. But what is the difference in the continuous improvement or the lean project management is we are going to create a problem solving culture. That means whenever you get into a problem, you have to understand why these problems are coming and then find the solutions and moving forward. The previous examples, you can see that there's a searching for a material, they were taking 2 hours. So if you really look into the reason, get into the root causes may be at the time of unloading the material is not stored properly. So if in a pre-engineered building, the sequentially it have to be taken out and for the installation. So if the element which we require to install first, if it has been gone below or we don't know where it is stored, you will take a longer time to go and find it. So getting into a root causes and then finding a countermeasures, that creating a culture of solving the problems rather than we solve the problems and move forward. So in a construction today, we have a lot of experts of a problem solvers, a firefighter, but that is not going to help us in a long run. If you really want to develop a construction project efficient, it's very important for you to ensure that you are developing the entire people working in the project organization as a good construction practitioner, developing their lean project management skills on it. So there are different approaches. So I'm just getting into a few strategic thought points for everyone to reflect. Number one, you have to ensure that the entire people in your organization, in the project organizations, are trained good in the project management concepts and best practices. Now, this doesn't require a certification programs or anything. Maybe someone who have a good understanding in your organization or some external consultant or some trainers can do that job, ensuring that all are in an equal page. Like someone is talking about interface management, everyone should know that what is interface management. Someone is talking about a last planner system, everyone should that how do you do that practice in your project. Someone is talking about a risk analysis, everyone should know that how do you identify the risk and then mitigate it and then keeping a track of it, everything. So it's a very tailored, small, but hands-on training need to be given to the entire construction professional, starting from the foreman to the project director in the same page. Now, there are other certification programs which are available. Someone want to be a more specific on a lean continuous improvement, etc., they can go for a different certification. Someone is looking at taking care of a project, like all the leaders, senior managers and senior engineers and the project managers and everything, they can go for a certification PMI construction professional. And someone who really want to become a more niche into this area as in a thought leadership, they can go for a different certification. So this is something, a strategy you need to design in your organization, where and how you are going to develop the people, because it's very important. If you want to improve your organizational performance, you cannot do that without people. So the people, process, and then only the technology can come and help you. So you have to upskill your people, and using the people you have to improve the processes and ultimately integrate with the tools and technology, so that that the improvement what you brought in will sustain in the organization and in the project. I'll take a few more thoughts, or strategically you can work it on in your organization. The first and most is, I have a simple question. Can we design within the budget and using quickly available materials and easily constructible? Why I'm asking this question is, many construction projects you will see that a design will be generated and it will be throw over the wall to the other procurement or to the construction people, and they realize that, okay, this particular item I cannot construct it because the constructability, the site situation, and the material availability and everything, it is not possible. Many times, how many times we have seen the number of columns which are coming, we may not have that many mold available, we may not have the different type of things available. So if you really look at the constructability in the design part, or I've seen many times the design is come, the material is not available in the market. So we have to go for a change in the material and then get a submission, get it an approval, and then moving forward. So it is possible. There is a concept called as a lean work structuring. So if we engage the designer, the procurement team, and the execution team in the early stages of a project. Now, this is the core of an integrated project delivery. This has been introduced in NEC, the new engineering contract, which is more popular, getting coming up in a recent time. And this is possible. Now, imagine there is a project, okay, design, bid and build. You don't have an opportunity to engage your contractor or a supplier in the beginning. But what you can do is use the OBEA, use a phase planning, and while doing the pool planning, you take them like in a six weeks before, or a maybe 9 months before. You have that conversation and ensuring that your design, your procurement, and your executions are synchronized. So that will help us to see that the efficiencies are not getting affected by any or particular trade or the work. The second thought or second question: can we plan the work to happen naturally? Today, what is happening? You have to push. There is a meeting. Every month, the planner will take all the activities, what is required for each trade. They'll make a list of it and push to the contractor and the subcontractor, or maybe the trade within the organizations. They have to give some date. They promise it, go to the site. Things are not happening. They firefight and they fight each other, and finally it is happening. So the strategy need to be work in such a way that can we implement the collaborative planning system in the organization, which will help you to structurally define the master planning, the phase planning, the look ahead planning, the weekly planning, and the daily monitoring in a structured way. So that will ensure that you will have a consistent flow of each activity. Like for example, in a week before, we all are having a conversation and agreeing that, okay, what is the sequence of a work and what is the activity to be done. So we complete the work and coming an update. So today what is happening, because it's a push planning and we don't know whether the work will happen. Once the work is completed, again the project manager or a coordination person, he or she have to come and identify and then call other person and then put it into the work. So what we are doing is more of a pushing scenario. We are making everyone to work. We have to go behind them. We have to remind them, and we have to fight with them to get the work done. So can we do a change in the planning strategy to see that we can ensure that majority of the work will be happening through a flow, and where the flow is not happening, we are engaging the people in a pull format. Like, okay, I'm not getting a work friend. Can we get some work friend? So having a conversation well in advance before the work friend is dried up, before the things are done. So focus on a make ready activities and pull the work and get the constraints removed to see that at the time of the work, we have all the ingredients, DPR, directives, the prerequisites, and the resources are available to do the work and moving forward. And very limitedly, we have to use the push concept to get the work done or escalate and then get the work in a project. Last questions. Can we deliver the right work at right time and the right quantity? This is the biggest challenge in construction industry. We plan, but the execution will happen in some other direction. Whatever we planned, we are most of the time unable to do it. So what will happen is the works are staggered in a different location. Our workers are staggered, our materials are staggered. There is no continuous flow. But in a mechanical or in a manufacturing industry, there's a beautiful flow has been defined. Is it possible to bring something like that in a construction project? Yes, it is possible. There is a concept and tool called as a TAC planning system. Here, we can plan our work in a sequence, and the trade can follow a sequence, and the logistics can also follow a sequence. But this is not easy to do it. To get into this area, we have to have a commitment-based management in the system. Like, people should honor to their commitment. To honor their commitment, you need to have all the prerequisites and everything need to be fulfilled. You should have a good last planner system or a collaborative planning system established. Once we have it, we can, like for example, in a corporate interior project, we can clearly see that what is the sequence of a trade within the floor, how it has been moving, and we can clearly define a path for it. So the work will be sequencing and the trade will be following that. And when we know that where we are going to do the next work, the logistical or material arrangement can also be easily done there. So it is practically possible for us to find a faster project and lower cost and a better quality. But the mistake what we are doing today is we created a silos. We have someone responsible for time and they look at only the time efficiency. There are someone responsible for a cost, they look at the cost efficiency. And someone responsible for a quality, and they look at the quality efficient way of delivering the quality product. Now, what is happening is this is creating a kind of a bottleneck between all the parties. Whereas instead of that, if we started looking at whatever we are doing an activity, is it a value adding? Are we ensuring that the flow of the activities are not getting affected? I am able to deliver what is required for my next customer. My next customer, that means the internal customer, is not getting affected. He or she has sufficient material information work front to do the job. So what will happen ultimately? The project will be flowing in a consistent and continuous manner. And that is nothing but we are transforming all the inputs and the efforts into an outcome and then moving forward. And for that, what it's required is a collaboration. So any excellence, that means, we want to make our project highly efficient. It is like a perfect state. So we have to do the journey of moving towards that. It cannot be well planned in the beginning and then executed. Definitely, we have to plan it. And on the go, we have to learn from our mistakes and learn from our problems in a collaborative way. And that learning should be applied again in a project in a structured way to see that we are moving forward. So I go back to the statement which I mentioned earlier. We have to be proactive, and also we have to be retrospective in when we are approaching a reactive situation in a construction project. So with that note, I want to conclude this webinar, and let us open for a discussions. Please find my LinkedIn ID here, and you can scan and join. Uh, Let us have a conversation here. I hope we have some time to have a lot of discussion
Yes.
and
Yes,
interaction.
sir. So,
Thank you very
thank you,
much.
sir. Thank you so much for your wonderful presentation and really thoughtful ideas around a lot of strategic approaches, just not the transactional approaches, as you mentioned. The last one, which you definitely spoke, was a very insightful, the triangle one. That reminds me of the fact that even if you take the example of a travel industry, for example, if you take a cruise, okay, when you go to a cruise, the experience of the customer in the cruise also is being dominated by value, supply, okay, and at the same time transforming that whole journey rather than thinking that, yeah, we just boarded the cruise and it will be first fantastic from the day one. There would be challenges on the way in the sea, but the whole idea is the collaboration. The whole cruise members take this liability of maintaining the flow, value, and transforming together to right experience. So that was very relatable to me that way.
Absolutely, absolutely.
We have the questions. We have some questions. We have is Mr. from Navidit Singh is asking you specifically two questions. Is first one is that is Obaya is applicable also in hybrid projects like data center projects? Number one. And another question, what he was positioning is, how do we avoid too much of information in big projects using Obaya concept?
Okay. See, the OBI is applicable to any project. Now, this is very important to have a right strategy for what is required, because your second question is related to that. We should not be overloaded the OBEA or the information transparency for that matter. So we definitely have to see that spending a lot of time in designing what need to be available to everyone and what need to be available for a specific people. So if it is a large project where you can have a satellite big rooms or an OBEA, or some people call us a performance center or whatever it is, can be really located to the site, and you can have a larger one, like the satellites are connected and that inputs are coming to the centralized area. So the idea here is the OBEA can be used for bringing this transparency, bringing this collaborative discussion, bringing this make-ready situation. Now, how much you run behind the people to get a coordination? How many times you talk on phone and then get it done? And how many times we share the informations on WhatsApp and getting lost? And how many times we have to run behind the senior management to escalate and everything? So if all the relevant information related to the planning, monitoring, procurement, design, and everything is available in one location, and you have an opportunity to discuss in that particular room for what need to be done for next 1 week or 2 months or 9 months, that exactly shows the importance of an aware. So I hope I just give a very
But will it be
precise.
applicable to the hybrid projects, sir, like
Yes,
data
yes.
center project? Yes. Okay.
I mean, see, any type. So in a
Right.
hybrid project, when you're saying, I have to just assume, like, many people are not been directly involved in that particular location. They may be co-located in some other, maybe in a place or maybe virtually available. So you can think about a virtual OBA also. Doesn't
Yeah.
mean that the OBA can be only the physically
Only
do.
the physical one. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can do a small satellite for the physical discussion,
Hmm.
and you can use that an OBA for the digital OBA for the people to handle it in a remotely.
Sure. Is this PDCA, the Plan to Check and Act method, is the part of Oboya? is what Jonathan is
No,
asking.
what I referred is PDCA. PDCA. You need a lot of data. You need to have a collaborative way to plan it together and the countermeasures and everything. Then when it is happening, you really need to check it. Is it done, not done, and is it really effective? And if not, you have to take a corrective action and move forward. It's a methodology which we are talking about it. So OBI is the right place to use that methodology effectively is what I was referring. So like for example, you make a plan for 1 week and you end of the week you will get an idea what is the plan happened, is it been done, not done. If it is not done, you now we can make a counter strategy to make the next week plan more effective. Or you're finding a regularly like there's an equipment failure which you're noticing consistently in a project. So because of that you can get into a data and analysis and seeing that okay, now let us address this problem and then make some improvement there. So any Kaizen initiative where we see the inefficiency, where we see the large number of problems from the Paretos or anything, that can be easily identified in an OBEA, and you can have a small team working on it, and that information can be displayed and discussed in the room. So
Okay.
PDCA is a tool can be used effectively when you have the OBEA.
Okay. I think Obaya is giving a lot of headaches to the people. Another question coming from Jonathan as well. I believe the answer is yes, but you need to validate it. Obaya can be used in waterfall methodology apart from agile. Yes or
Yes,
no? Or in the lean,
yes,
right?
yes, yes,
Yes.
yes.
Yes, it should be.
See the waterfall is see in a construction we I'll call it as more of an hybrid. Even though it's a waterfall, we call it as a design is fixed, procurement is fixed and execution is fixed, and we have a milestones and everything. But within that, we need a lot of interactions and iterations and everything. So that is where even for a typical construction waterfall methodology, what we are following, this OBI will be very effective.
Yeah, sure. Uh, I think we are running short of time, but I will try to pick up one more question around it. We have somebody telling that one challenge the person is facing, he's telling that situation is where the lack of communication between site teams and the technical team. Okay. And because of this improper communication going on and the coordination is not effective enough, it becomes difficult to achieve the target. So
Yeah.
kindly achieve the outcomes around that, means how we can overcome this situation at times.
It's true. This is a very common problem in construction, and that is where usually what we do in a collaborative planning system, we do that planning in a little structured way. One, there is an opportunity to do the phase planning where the technical, the procurement, and the execution people will be allowed to have a collaborative discussion. For example, at 2 or 3 hours, they are working on a pool planning. They put up all the milestones and they work in a backward direction to see that to achieve that milestone and that time, what are the things required. So majority of the constraints are getting identified in the phase planning, and something again which will be followed up on a call as a look ahead planning, like next 6 weeks, what are the work need to be done. So what will happen is, or what we need to do is ensuring that a multiple collaborative discussions are happening in the project in this perspective. And this is something which I mentioned earlier. We are very good in spending a lot of time in fighting each other when things are not happening, but we are not really good in putting that 15 minutes or 30 minutes before the work need to be done. So everyone will say that I'm busy, 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 and
Yeah.
then they will not get into this meeting. And ultimately the problem comes, you spend time to solve it. So most of our time today is happening or moving around the problem solving. So we have to bring that retrospective approach to identify the root causes and then reduce the time what we are spending on the firefighting and spending more time in a proactive. So there's a structured, guided approach need to be done in the project to slowly convert the current way of working into a more structured way of working.
Great. I think that's all we can do at in this time. Thank you so much, Tony sir. I think the people can directly connect to you for the more clarifications, and they want to brainstorm certain things from all of you. Great engagement, and I believe thank you to the audience for asking such a lovely questions.
Thank
And
you
it
very much
really
for all
it
the
entices
participants and
it
PMI.
entices the more idea thinking when you ask the right questions. So thank you so much to all of you, and to you sir as well. With that in mind, I think we have our friends in marketing team who have been doing the great job to bringing all the relevant information from social media at our events page and the PMI UAE website. Keep visiting that page. You will get a lot of information that what is happening in the next couple of weeks or something like that. More importantly, we cannot close the today's webinar before saying thanks to to everybody, great audience. I think we have to also see that what are the chapter volunteers are doing behind the scenes from the different teams like membership and finance and governance and outreach. I think the good round of applause for all of them behind the scenes as well. But this is me, Anchal, and then Amir and Joyce. Thank you so much, Tony sir, for being the great presenter today and giving a lot of information to our audience.
Thank you. Thank you very much.